This is Vanessa.
And I'm Jetta.
And together we are Our World, Our Way 2017.
Hashtag, oh wow, 2017.
And today we are coming to you to give you our second video in our three-part series on saving money while traveling. And today's video, we're going to talk about the ways that you can save money while you're planning your travel.
Yes.
Okay? So we've got our Oh Wow's top 5 ways of saving money when planning to travel. So we're going to go ahead and get it started with you.
Exactly. So number one thing you want to do when you start traveling, and in terms of just planning those travels, you want to make sure that you travel during what we call the shoulder season. Now, the shoulder season is not actually the off season, but it's somewhere in between the off season and the on season. And the reason for that is that you want to make sure that you're getting the best rates on your accommodations, as well as the flight and the cost of your ticket to get to your destination.
Exactly.
Yep, actually traveling during the shoulder season can save you upwards of 50, 60, 70, sometimes even 80% on your flight fees as well as your accommodations.
Right.
I can tell you about a time in which we saved a lot of money traveling during the shoulder season, which is right here in Mexico, right?
Right.
Our flight here to Mexico cost us what?
One way, what was it? $200?
$200.
One way.
One way.
Which we only needed one way, thankfully, because we are Our World, Our Way.
Exactly. That was $200 for the both of us. That's really cheap.
Very cheap. Okay. Another thing about traveling in the shoulder season is the fact that on your accommodations you can save, because places like Airbnb, for example, or hotels, they charge you more when more people want to come to the hotel.
Yeah.
So when you travel in the not so off season, and sometimes in the off season, you're going to get a bigger discount for traveling.
Exactly. And summer vacations, it's crowded everywhere you go.
Exactly.
So
and same thing in the winter.
Winter time too. People want to travel during the winter. Yeah.
Right.
They want to actually go to, a place where there's a beach. It's great weather. So you're gonna actually end up saving more when you travel throughout or during those times when it's not winter or when it's not summer.
Exactly. Another way, excuse me for a second. Another way, mosquitoes are out, y'all.
They're out.
Another way of saving money on your travel costs is
Maybe give me some of that too.
Sorry.
Yeah.
There's a mosquito just floating around out here. We cannot have all of that, okay? Got to protect you. Got that O positive blood or O negative, one or the other. Another thing to cut down on your costs is you want to make sure that especially when you're traveling internationally, that you double check the visa requirements for entering that particular country.
Oh yeah, that's important, visa.
Because you don't want to book a $100 flight to go somewhere, for example, and then end up having to pay $200 for the visa to get into the country.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, for example, when we were choosing to travel around South America, we had our choice of any country that we wanted to go to.
Yep.
One of the countries we want to visit is Bolivia.
Bolivia!
But,
woo! Viva Bolivia!
But Bolivia charges a whopping $160
for us,
U.S. citizens to
yeah.
travel there. Now, granted, that visa will last you for 10 years, but that's still $160.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, Peru, on the other hand, charges you
free.
nothing.
Free 99.
And another thing about Bolivia, you get a visa that will last you for 10 years, but you can only stay a maximum 90 days in any
calendar year.
In any calendar year.
Yeah.
But in Peru, you can get up to 183 days.
6 months.
And they charge you nothing.
Free
to
99.
enter the country. So that's the difference in where you want to go. So all you people want to go to Machu Picchu, Peru is the great destination for that.
Bolivia is too, because Bolivia is definitely on our list to travel.
Salt flats.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. But
absolutely.
just make sure, like Vanessa said, make sure that you check out what those requirements are with your visa, because your visa, it's a privilege to be able to travel the world.
Yes.
And your visa does afford you the opportunity to visit places that, most people never get a chance to see. But make sure that you do your due diligence and educate yourself beforehand to ensure that you're making the best decision for you financially, but also making sure that you're doing everything you need to do as far as a global citizen.
Exactly. Now, as far as transportation, saving on transportation when you're traveling.
Yeah.
Well, no, let's back it up. Another way that you can save on the destination is to be sure that when you're traveling, that you check out as many of the different sites as you can to find the cheapest booking.
Oh, definitely. You want to make sure you check places like I check Kayak, for instance, you know?
Right.
That's a great spot. Kayak allows you the opportunity to be able to enter in a monetary amount, you know, the least amount you'll spend and the most amount you'll spend. And you can put in your starting place and your end destination, and it'll pull up all of the areas in which you can fly to within that particular price range. But the key to this is, number one, being what? Flexible.
Very flexible.
Yeah.
So when it comes to transportation, that's our number 2. Transportation, you got to be flexible.
You have to be flexible.
Right.
Yep, Kayak is really good, and Mondo is another one. Yeah.
And sign up for the different flight deals that are available online. The Secret Flying, well, they actually email you and let you
Secret
know
Flying.
when these deals come up. But again, like Jetta said, you have to be what?
Flexible.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Number 3. Let's talk about accommodations.
Yeah, accommodations. Wow, that's really important. Of course, you want to make sure that you're saving money while you're planning to travel by picking good accommodations. One great thing about traveling in the shoulder season is that accommodations can be very inexpensive.
Very much so.
Like right now, we found a hostel here in Cancun that was as little as $5 per person per day. Now, do you think that would be the same thing if it were the winter back in the US, or if it was, let's say, summer? No. It's the shoulder season right now in Mexico.
Right.
So of course you're going to get those kind of rates.
Right. That's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And also, you want to take a look at Airbnbs.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them will offer you a discount if you stay longer than 7 days.
Yeah.
And in some cases, let's just say you found an Airbnb that you liked, but they didn't offer you a discount. In some cases, if you message the host and let them know, hey, I want to stay for a week or 2, can you give me a cheaper rate? They may be willing to lower the rate for you. Just got to be aware of that and make sure you ask.
Yeah, which leads us into our next point about traveling slow. Vanessa and I, we love to travel slow, right?
Yes.
We love slow travel because slow travel allows you to save money.
Yes.
And she made a great point about if you message your Airbnb host and let them know that you're here for the long term, that long term could look like 2 weeks for some people, but for us, because this is what we do full time, long term for us could be 3 months upwards to 6 months, depending upon what our visa allows us to do. So when we message our Airbnb host, guess what? What typically was $50 a night can now go down to $20 a night.
Yes.
That's a prime example. But traveling slow is very important because, number one, you get to save on transportation costs.
Yes.
Right? Because that's the most expensive part about traveling is transportation. So, of course, you know, when you're traveling slowly, you're saving on those type of costs.
Right. So you're not moving from place to place, which hence would cause you more money in travel.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yep.
All right. So another thing about transportation is, depending on the country that you go to, don't be afraid to rent a car. You want to be smart, but don't be afraid to rent a car, because in some countries it's actually cheaper to rent a car than it is to take the bus or even to fly, depending on where you go.
Yeah.
For example, we were in Argentina,
Yep.
and we wanted to go up. We wanted to do like a couple of days.
Aconcagua, we got a chance to see Aconcagua National Park, the
Yes.
big mountain.
And it was
Aconcagua Mountain.
cheaper to rent a car for 1 day than it would have been to take a tour up there and then be on somebody else's time.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to rent a car. In some cities, in some countries now, there are some places that we don't recommend you renting a car.
No, it's not
like,
safe.
For example, Lima, Peru.
No.
Don't rent a
I would
car
never
there.
drive in Lima.
People there drive like maniacs, so don't do it there. But in Cusco, Peru, maybe it would be okay. It's not so bad.
Yeah.
So it all depends on where you're going, but just be smart and don't be afraid.
Yeah, that's a good point, baby. That's a really good point. Another thing we want to add to this is make sure that when you're traveling, if you want to save money while you're planning your travels, look at those cheap destinations.
Yes.
Yeah. Now we know, of course, some of the most expensive places to travel to are going to be what? The U.S.
Well, think of touristic areas.
Touristic areas.
All
of course.
touristic areas are going to be more expensive.
Yeah.
Not necessarily expensive to get there, but expensive to stay there.
Yeah.
So in some cases, you might want to look for a place that is off the beaten path.
Yeah. And I tell you, me personally, you know, I would love to go to places like Australia, New Zealand, East Africa, you name it, even Western Europe. You know, I want to go to Rome, I want to go to Italy, I want to go to France. But I imagine that those places are going to be very, very, very expensive. So like Vanessa said, why not look at the off-beaten path? Look at places like, well, we traveled throughout South America for a full year.
Yeah.
And honestly, our dollars stretch very far.
But we were also looking at possibly going to, for example, the Polynesian Islands.
Yes.
Well, most people want to go to the main island.
Fiji.
Yes, but if you go to one of the smaller, lesser-known
Bora.
islands, your accommodations could be super, super cheap.
Yeah.
And it's nothing more than flying into one of the bigger islands and then island hopping on a plane to get to one of the smaller ones.
Yeah.
So don't always look at the most touristic area that is in the area where you want to go. Look for places that are off the beaten path.
Off the beaten path, and some of those places that people don't typically travel to, but that are very, very cheap destinations. Of course, we've learned, you know, Southeast Asia, very inexpensive.
Yes.
We've yet to get there, but places like Thailand,
It's on the agenda.
$5
one day.
massages, you know,
$5.
$5 massage. But yeah, places like that, the Philippines, Vietnam, you name it. And even we just learned from our friend Eric, you know, the minority nomad, about Eastern Europe, you know.
Yes.
Belarus, Poland, you know.
Romania.
Yeah, I mean,
the
you name
Ukraine.
it.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be
Just
afraid.
get out there. Yeah. You can save a lot more money than what you actually anticipated. The Balkans, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Another thing that you can do to save money is to get yourself a travel buddy. You know,
Friend.
there are a lot of different groups on Facebook right now where, like, if you're a solo traveler, there's Women Love Travel, Girls Who
Women Love
Travel,
Travel, Girls Who Travel.
and you can find somebody who wants to go to the same destinations that you're going to. It could be a friend, it could be a relative, it could be somebody who's online. You know, find a travel buddy to help share the cost of the accommodations once you get there, or even the travel to get there in
Yeah.
some cases.
I got my buddy. This is my buddy right
And
here.
this is my buddy. My buddy, wherever she goes, I'm
go.
gonna go.
Exactly.
Took
Yeah.
Way back to when I was a teenager on that one.
But definitely meet up with people, and there's several different ways in which you can do that. Vanessa mentioned Facebook groups, various Facebook groups out there that are catered towards travelers, whether you're solo travelers, couple travelers, or just a traveler in general.
Yes.
You have we learned from a few people. Well, we knew about Meetup because I actually looked into Meetup when we first moved to Richmond,
Right.
Virginia.
Right.
Meetup is a great source. Couch surfing has a great community that you can meet people. So yeah, but make sure they're not deranged. Make sure they're not crazy.
Vet them.
Yeah,
Vet them.
very well. Use your
Always have an
discernment.
exit plan.
Yeah, but you always want to be able to split costs.
Yes,
That'll
whenever
help you
possible.
save money.
Whenever possible.
Yeah. What else? Anything else?
Be flexible.
Always be flexible.
Always be flexible in
Yeah.
your plans. I mean, if you get somewhere and it turns out to not be safe or not what you're expecting, you can always plan to go someplace else. you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Another way to save money would be check to see how your currency goes in the country that you're going
that's
to.
a good point. Yeah.
A really easy way for you to find out how far your dollar would stretch. Now, this is going to sound a little crazy, but if you just Google the cost of a Big Mac around the world,
Yeah.
you will get a chart that shows you the cost of a Big Mac in the U.S. versus somewhere in Poland, for example.
Right.
In the U.S., it's around $5.30 for a Big Mac. But in Zurich, Sweden, for example, in Zurich it could be like $6 and some change. So, but then in another country it could be $2 and some change.
Wow.
So that's an easy way for you to kind of see where your dollar is going to stretch and how far it's going to go.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, making sure you know how your dollar stretches, you know, compared to the country that you're in now to the country that you're planning to travel to. That's
Yes.
really, really good. And we actually use an app to allow us to be able to check what that currency is, the conversion rate is, compared to the country that we're from, to the country that we're planning to travel to. In real time. And the great thing about this app that we use is that it's in real time, meaning that you don't need Wi-Fi connection to be able to look at it. It's updated immediately, so we can always check what those rates are. It's called XE. It's a free application. Just download it to your smartphone and you're good to go. You can be able to check that right away and see how that thing works.
That way, like if you're looking at the cost of something while you're there on site, you can always compare it to what it is in US dollars. Be smart.
Be smart.
Because trust me when I tell you,
They will try to take
they
advantage
will
of
try
it.
to take advantage of the fact that you're a tourist and try to get you for the okie doke. So don't let it happen to you.
Don't fall for the okie
Don't
doke, like
fall
she
for
said.
it. Don't fall for it.
All right, so flexibility is key. You know,
Flexibility in your travel plans.
especially with flying and booking flights. You want to use places like we mentioned a few: Skyscanner, Hopper, Google Flights, Momondo, Kayak. You know, you name
Secret
Hipmunk,
Flying.
Secret Flying, the Flight Deal. You name it. There are many ways out there which you can score low flights and cheap flights. One of the things that we do when we travel through transportation wise is that we may book the ticket into the country by plane, but once we get there,
Travel around by bus.
with the exception of one country, which was Brazil. Brazil is
all
high.
the other countries now. Well, within Brazil, we ended up taking the bus, but in
It was
Argentina,
expensive.
for
Yeah.
example, in Argentina, we found that a flight there was only like a $10 difference between taking
Flying and catching
a
the bus.
17-hour
Yeah.
bus ride and taking a 2-hour flight. So guess what we chose?
We flew in
Okay.
Argentina, so everything can change.
One more
Yeah.
thing to save yourself money when you're booking flights, especially in other countries when you're doing inter-country travel, check for the flight that includes bags. There are
Yeah.
different cost levels, just like there are in the States. More often than not, it's not a big difference in price between the cheapest ticket that doesn't include bags and the one that does include bags.
Yeah.
For example, when we flew out of Argentina, we chose flights that included bags, and when I checked the cost, it was actually cheaper to get the ticket with the bags included than it
Right.
was without the bags included, because the cost of the bags were $25 to $50 per bag.
Yeah.
So you would end up spending more money on the cheap ticket than if you bought the one that costs another $20 more.
Yeah. Yep. So there you have it, guys. There you have it. So let's see. Well, are we missing anything, or do you think we've covered mostly everything that we
I
wanted
think
to
we
cover?
covered everything we wanted to cover. We wanted to keep this one short,
Yeah.
not spend too much time. The only other thing is you want to pack and come prepared. There are certain things that you get back in the States or in your home country that may be difficult for you to find when you're abroad, or may be expensive. For example, something as simple as Tylenol or ibuprofen, allergy
Medications.
medication,
Yeah.
sunscreen, off spray, okay?
Yeah.
A bottle of sunscreen back in the States can cost you somewhere about between $6 and $10, but in Brazil it costs three times as much.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are some things you want to buy and bring with you rather than waiting till you get there, because it's either going to be hard to find or it's going to cost you a pretty penny for it.
Yeah, we know from personal experience. Yeah, because we
Yes.
had those, we had our luggage, and we had to actually change our luggage
Yeah.
from roller bags to actually get the big backpacks, and
Yes.
they ended up costing us 5
So
times
much
as much
more,
abroad
so
than
much
it would have
more.
cost us back home. So there you go.
A backpack at Walmart would have been like $35. We ended up spending well over $100 for them,
Yeah.
because the shipping cost to get it to South America
Was astronomical.
was like $300 a bag. It was ridiculous. So,
Yep. Well, there you have it, guys. This is Jetta
and this is Vanessa.
with Our World, Our Way 2017.
Hashtag oh wow 2017.
Remember to always live, love, laugh, and thrive.
See you next time.
See you next time, guys. Bye.